No one will accept that he or she is lazy, but sometimes we are unknowingly suffer this. Laziness is a state of mind that leads to inactivity, a reluctance to take on tasks, and resistance to effort. Today I will help you know about laziness and how to overcome using Buddhism. The Buddhist perspective on laziness. In Buddhism, laziness is seen as an obstacle to mental clarity and inner peace. This perspective teaches that laziness is not just about doing nothing. It's a subtle, often overlooked resistance to engaging in meaningful actions, a barrier that stops us from living with purpose. The Dhammapada, one of Buddhism's ancient texts, tells us that although the mind is capable of achieving peace, laziness is a wall that keeps us from that inner serenity. When we understand laziness as something that hinders our path toward fulfillment and joy, we can begin to recognize its patterns, its hold over us, and work toward overcoming it. Buddhist teachings identify different types of laziness, each stemming from unique emotional and psychological roots. Learning about these different types helps us recognize the specific mental barriers we face and offers insights into how we can transform them. Below are some of the main types of laziness as described in Buddhism, along with the emotions and mindsets that often accompany them. 3. The types of laziness in Buddhism. First one is the laziness of comfort, avoidance laziness. This type of laziness comes from a powerful pull toward comfort and ease, and it often leads us to avoid tasks that might challenge us or disrupt our routines. This avoidance may seem harmless at first, a moment's rest here, an easy path there, but over time, it traps us in our comfort zones. Here, laziness disguises itself as a desire to relax. Yet underneath, there's often a lingering fear of discomfort or failure. Imagine the feeling. You've planned to meditate or exercise, but suddenly, the couch and the soft glow of a TV show feel too tempting. There's a familiar, almost seductive comfort in staying put. To overcome this type of laziness, Buddhism teaches the importance of mindfulness. By bringing awareness to this moment of hesitation, we can see the underlying desire for temporary comfort and recognize its transitory nature. This doesn't mean rejecting comfort entirely, but it encourages us to balance it with activities that nourish and challenge us in the long run. Through mindful awareness, we can move toward practices that bring genuine fulfillment, even if they ask more of us initially. The second type of laziness is the laziness of procrastination, delaying laziness. Procrastination is a type of laziness that often comes wrapped in the belief that there will always be more time. It's rooted in the emotion of avoidance and a deceptive optimism that the future will somehow make things easier. This delay feels comforting in the moment, but it ultimately becomes a painful cycle of guilt and frustration. Think of the feeling of repeatedly putting off a task, each time with the promise to get to it later. Beneath this delay is often a mix of emotions: anxiety about starting, a reluctance to leave our comfort zone, and sometimes even guilt, knowing we could be using our time more wisely. To overcome procrastination, Buddhism reminds us of the truth of impermanence, anicca. Reflecting on the fleeting nature of time allows us to realize that the perfect moment may never come. By recognizing that life is a collection of passing moments, we can let go of the illusion of a better time and begin right where we are. This urgency isn't meant to create stress, but to free us from the cycle of putting things off, helping us move toward meaningful actions now. The third one is the laziness of self-doubt, discouragement. The laziness of self-doubt comes from a deep sense of inadequacy or fear of failure. It's that voice in the mind that says, "Why bother? I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed, so why even try?" This type of laziness is steeped in discouragement and often accompanied by feelings of sadness, insecurity, even shame. This form of laziness is painful because it prevents us from even attempting to move forward. Imagine wanting to begin a mindfulness practice but being haunted by the thought, "I'm not disciplined enough," or "meditation is for people more spiritual than me." Each doubt reinforces a belief that change is impossible and we remain stuck. In Buddhism, overcoming self-doubt begins with compassion and the cultivation of right effort. This practice encourages us to make small, realistic steps rather than setting unreachable goals. It reminds us that everyone has moments of struggle and that we are not alone in facing these feelings. This encourages us to approach new practices with humility, free from the fear of not being good enough. Self-doubt can be transformed through small, steady effort, and by focusing on progress rather perfection. The fourth one is the laziness of distraction, craving for sensory pleasures. The laziness of distraction arises when we fill our lives with sensory pleasures and entertainments to avoid more challenging or reflective practices. This type of laziness can stem from a need for quick joy or stimulation to escape from life's stresses. In the moment, distractions provide a temporary sense of satisfaction, but leave us feeling empty. Imagine the pull of social media or TV after a long day, the urge to distract ourselves and escape from deeper feelings. This desire for stimulation brings instant relief, but also leads to grow a sense of disconnection from true aspirations. Buddhism teaches us to practice mindfulness and right concentration. By being present with our desire for distraction, recognize it as a craving for something deeper, a desire for genuine peace and joy. Through mindful reflection and meditation, we can reduce our dependence on fleeting pleasures and find satisfaction in inner stillness. This practice helps us choose activities that nourish our well-being instead of entertaining us. The fifth one is the laziness of cynicism or indifference. Cynicism and indifference are forms of laziness that arise when we feel disillusioned or disappointed. This type of laziness is often rooted in past hurts or unfulfilled hopes, leading to a sense of apathy. The inner monologue might go something like, "What's the point? Nothing ever changes." Here, laziness becomes an emotional shield, protecting us from further pain or failure. This emotional distance can make us feel numb, as if life has lost its color or purpose. The sadness of this form of laziness is that it locks us away from hope and possibility. It's as though we're standing behind a glass wall, watching life go by, unable to feel fully engaged. To overcome cynicism, Buddhism encourages the practice of faith and right view. By immersing ourselves in positive influences, such as spiritual teachings, supportive community, or personal reflection, we can rediscover a sense of purpose. Buddhism also emphasizes the interconnectedness of all things, reminding us that our actions, however small, have an impact. Embracing this perspective helps us break down the walls of indifference, allowing us to re-engage with life's beauty and potential. Buddhist practices to overcome laziness. Addressing laziness requires gentle self-compassion and consistent effort. Buddhism offers a range of practices to help us and get a joy in meaningful actions. Below are some practical methods for tackling laziness. 1. Practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness allows us to connect deeply with each moment and become aware of our tendencies toward laziness. It helps us to observe our thoughts, recognize resistance, and choose a compassionate response instead of reacting out of habit. How to practice. Take time each day to meditate and focus on the present moment. When feelings of resistance arise, observe them gently. Feel the urge to avoid or delay, but allow it to pass without judgment, slowly bringing your focus back to the present. 2. Setting intentions and goals. Bodhicitta. Setting intentions is a way to remind ourselves of the deeper purpose behind our actions. In Buddhism, this often means developing bodhicitta, the wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. This can help us overcome our personal inertia by connecting our actions to something greater than ourselves. How to practice. Each morning, set a small intention to approach your day with kindness, patience, or resilience. Reflect on how your actions contribute to both personal growth and the well-being of others. 3. Developing right effort. Right effort means being consistent in our pursuits without overwhelming ourselves. It's about finding a steady rhythm rather than pushing for immediate results, embracing a sense of progress without becoming discouraged by setbacks. How to practice. Identify one small, manageable step toward your goals each day and take that step wholeheartedly. Instead of focusing on what you haven't achieved, celebrate each action as a sign of progress. 4. Embracing impermanence. Anicca. Understanding impermanence allows us to see that comfort, doubt, and distraction are fleeting. Realization encourages us to let go of attachment to temporary pleasures and embrace actions. How to practice. Reflect on the impermanence of life and how time continually changes. When procrastination arises, remind each moment is a precious opportunity for growth. 5. Practicing compassion and self-acceptance. Compassion for oneself means acknowledging our struggles without judgment. Laziness is a common human experience, and learning to treat ourselves with kindness helps us approach personal growth. How to practice. When you struggle with laziness, replace harsh self-criticism with gentle encouragement. Remind yourself that overcoming laziness is a process, one that requires time, patience, and kindness.